The day my daughter refused to come home with me, I felt something inside me break. Because the way she looked at me, it wasn't fear of a stranger. It was fear of her own mother. My name is Sarah Collins. I'm 37. And 2 weeks ago, my life changed in a way I never saw coming. That afternoon started like any other. I walked into the school hallway already smiling, waiting for Emma to come running toward me like she always did. Backpack bouncing, hair messy, talking a mile a minute about her day. But that didn't happen. Instead, her teacher stepped in front of me. Gently, calmly, but firmly. She lowered her voice. And what she said next made my heart stop. "Ma'am, Emma says she doesn't feel safe going home with you alone." For a second, I couldn't breathe. I thought I misheard her. But when I looked past her shoulder, there was my daughter, standing behind her teacher, holding her hand tightly, looking at me like I was a stranger. No smile, no excitement, just hesitation, fear. That moment, that exact moment, I knew something was wrong. Something had happened to my child. And whatever it was about to change everything. I stood there frozen, trying to process what I had just heard. "Emma," I said softly, forcing a smile. "Sweetheart, it's Mom. Let's go home." She shook her head, just slightly, but enough to shatter me. Her teacher gave me a careful look, like she didn't want to say too much, but had to. "Mrs. Collins," she said quietly, "Emma has been telling us she feels unsafe leaving school unless another adult is with you." Unsafe. That word echoed in my head, over and over and over again. "I don't understand," I said quickly. "There must be a mistake." The teacher guided me a few steps away. "Over the past few weeks," she explained, "Emma has mentioned that you forget things, that you get confused, and that someone told her not to go alone with you." My hands started shaking. Forget things? Confused? That wasn't me. I worked full-time. I handled everything. I was fine. But somehow, my daughter believed something else. After a long conversation, after answering questions I never thought I'd be asked, they finally let Emma leave with me. The walk to the car felt wrong. Too quiet. Emma didn't say a word. She just stared out the window. Halfway home, I couldn't take it anymore. "Emma," I asked gently, "why didn't you want to come with me today?" She hesitated, then quietly said, "I was just doing what I was told." My grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Told by who?" She shrugged. "I don't know. They just said it was important." That answer, it didn't leave my mind the entire drive. Someone had told my daughter not to trust me, and she believed them. At home, I tried to act normal. Dinner, homework, TV. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. Emma kept watching me, not like a child looks at their parent, but like she was observing me, waiting, checking, like she expected me to mess up, to forget something, to prove whatever she had been told. That night, while putting away her school things, I opened her backpack, and that's when I found it. A folded piece of paper. Not her handwriting. Neat. Adult writing. Just one sentence. "Remember what we talked about. Stay careful." A cold wave ran through me. This wasn't in her head. This wasn't imagination. Someone was talking to my child behind my back. Someone was planting fear. Slowly, carefully, I asked Emma about the note. She looked confused. "I think someone gave it to me." "Who?" "I don't remember." That scared me even more, because Emma had never lied to me before, never hidden things. But now, something had changed. That night, I didn't sleep, not even for a minute. I kept replaying everything. Every day, every moment, every detail. Had I missed something? Had someone been around her? Had someone been feeding her stories? And then it hit me. This wasn't random. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was intentional. Someone was trying to make my own daughter afraid of me, and they were doing it so carefully. I hadn't even noticed. The next morning, I made a decision. I wouldn't confront Emma again. She wasn't the problem. Someone else was. So instead, I started watching. Really watching. And slowly, the pieces started coming together. Emma avoided being alone with me in certain rooms. She asked strange questions like, "Mom, do people forget things when their brain gets sick?" Every question felt like a needle. Someone had been telling her I was unstable. But who? And why? A few days later at school, her teacher mentioned something casually. "Another family member has picked Emma up a few times recently." My heart skipped. "What do you mean?" She checked the records. And when she read the name out loud, my stomach dropped. It was my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law. The moment I heard her name, everything inside me went cold. I forced a polite smile, thanked the teacher, acted like it was normal. But it wasn't. I had never given permission for anyone else to pick Emma up. Never. So how was she doing it? And more importantly, why? That afternoon, I called her. Kept my voice light. Casual. "Oh, you've been picking Emma up sometimes?" I asked. She laughed softly. "Oh yes, just trying to help you," she said warmly. "You've seemed a little tired lately." Tired? I hadn't even seen her in weeks. How could she know that? Something didn't feel right. Not even close. Later that evening, Emma said something that made my heart sink even deeper. "I went to Grandma's house after school a few times," she said casually while coloring. I froze. "She says I should be brave." I swallowed hard. "Brave? About what?" Emma hesitated, then leaned closer, like she was sharing a secret. "In case you forget me one day." The room went silent. Heavy. My chest tightened so much. I could barely breathe. But I smiled. I had to. I couldn't let her see the panic inside me. Because in that moment, everything connected. The notes. The fear. The school warnings. Someone hadn't just been scaring my daughter. They had been programming her. Slowly. Carefully. Like planting a seed. And watering it every single day. That night, I did something I never thought I would do. I checked Emma's tablet. Not to invade her privacy, but to find answers. And that's when I found them. Voice messages. Saved recordings. From her grandmother. Short clips. Soft tone. Gentle voice. But the words. They made my blood run cold. "Sweetheart, sometimes adults get sick in their minds. If mommy acts strange, you must tell your teachers. You have to protect yourself." I just sat there, staring at the screen. Frozen. She wasn't attacking me directly. No. She was doing something far worse. She was shaping Emma's thoughts. Making her doubt me. Without ever saying I was dangerous. It was subtle. It was smart. And it was terrifying. And then, another memory hit me. Out of nowhere. A conversation from weeks ago. My mother-in-law, asking questions about custody laws. At the time, I ignored it. Thought it was random. But now it made perfect sense. This wasn't concern. This wasn't love. This was strategy. A plan. A slow, calculated plan. To make me look unstable. To make my daughter afraid of me. To build a story where I was the problem. And for the first time, a terrifying thought crossed my mind. What if this wasn't just about fear? What if she was trying to take Emma away from me? Completely. I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't react emotionally. If I confronted her now, she would deny everything. Act innocent. Turn it against me. So I stayed calm. I acted normal. I hugged Emma tighter that night. Read her stories. Reminded her she was safe with me. But inside, I made a decision. I would watch. I would wait. And I would find proof. Because now I understood something very clearly. This wasn't random. This was planned. And I needed to know how far it had already gone. The next few days, I became someone else. Quiet. Observant. Careful. I started documenting everything. School records. Pickup logs. Messages. Every small detail. Nothing was too insignificant. I even spoke privately with the school counselor. Explained everything. They agreed to help, quietly, without raising suspicion. Meanwhile, I played my role perfectly. I smiled at my mother-in-law, thanked her for helping, acted like I trusted her. And that's when she made a mistake. She got comfortable. Too comfortable. A week later, She invited me to dinner. "I think we should talk about Emma's future," she said gently. The words sounded harmless, but my instinct screamed. Something was coming. I could feel it. And this time, I was ready. That night, I went to dinner, calm on the outside, prepared on the inside. Everything started normally. Small talk, food, polite smiles. But then, she sighed, softly, dramatically, and placed her hand over mine. "You know," she said, "raising a child alone, it's not easy." I didn't respond. I just watched her, carefully. "I've been worried about Emma," she continued. "She seems confused lately, scared sometimes." There it was. She wasn't hiding it anymore. She was planting the story, directly now. Slowly, carefully, like she had been doing all along. I took a breath, kept my voice steady. "What are you trying to say?" She hesitated, just for a second, then said it. "Maybe Emma should stay with me for a while." My chest tightened. There it was. The real goal. Not concern. Not help. Control. She thought I was already weak enough to agree. That I'd doubt myself. That I'd give in. But what she didn't know was that I already knew everything. I reached into my pocket, placed my phone on the table, and pressed play. The room filled with her voice. Soft. Sweet. Manipulative. "If mommy forgets things, you must tell your teachers. If mommy scares you, grandma will protect you." The silence that followed was heavy. Her face lost color. Her lips parted. But no words came out. "I know what you've been doing," I said quietly. "You weren't helping Emma. You were teaching her to fear me." For a moment, the mask slipped. That warm, caring expression. Gone. Replaced with something cold. Sharp. "You're overreacting," she snapped. "I only want what's best for her." I shook my head. "No," I said calmly. "You want custody." And just like that, everything went silent. Because she didn't deny it. Not really. And that silence? That was her answer. She thought she could win. Not by force, but by doubt. By slowly rewriting how my daughter saw me. Turning love into fear. Trust into suspicion. Replacing me. Without ever looking like the villain. But she made one mistake. She underestimated me. The next day, I took everything to a family lawyer. The recordings. The notes. The school records. Every single piece. And then, to the school administration. Once they heard the recordings, everything changed. Immediately. They restricted all contact. No more pickups. No more unsupervised visits. Legally. Officially. She couldn't get near Emma without permission. Weeks later, Emma finally learned the truth. Not all at once. Gently. Through therapy. Carefully explained. And when it finally clicked, she broke down in my arms. "I thought you were getting sick," she whispered. My heart shattered all over again. But I held her tighter. "You can always ask me the truth," I told her softly. Always. And slowly, things began to heal. The fear faded. The distance disappeared. And the little girl I knew started coming back. Months later, I stood outside her school again. Same hallway. Same spot. But this time, everything was different. The bell rang. And then, I saw her, running toward me, backpack bouncing, big smile on her face, arms wide open. "Mom!" I dropped to my knees and caught her, holding her tighter than ever before. And in that moment, I realized something. The most dangerous betrayals don't come from enemies. They come from people who smile while trying to take your place. Because sometimes, the person trying to protect your child is the one you actually need to protect them from. Honestly, if I were in that situation, I don't think I would have stayed that calm. The strength it takes to fight quietly, gather proof, and protect your child without breaking. That's something not everyone can do. What would you have done in her place? Would you confront immediately, or stay silent and collect proof like she did?